Nope, I got it.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming this evening to the Book and Media group. I am excited to be privileged to share part of my story with you all, and thanks for being willing to listen. We were talking about the Book and Media group and what we want to accomplish um, in the future and going forward. And one of the things we talked about was that we would like to be able to do more of sharing one another's stories, especially as we are interested or involved in interfaith kinds of things. How did we get there, and what do we get out of it? That kind of thing. So I volunteered to start, and so shared with you some of my ramblings, and we'll see if anything resonates with you. Does that sound okay? All
Yeah.
right, so let's begin with a moment of prayer or silence as we join together our spirits with those who are here with us, and also with those who wanted to be but couldn't be here, or are still on their way to their computers. But we are mindful of the spirit that is in each of us and is around us and in one another. And we give thanks for that, and give thanks for the spirit of wisdom that is in all of our traditions, and ask that that spirit of wisdom be in us tonight as well, that we each learn something from one another. Let us go forth in peace. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So the document that I sent you is the first chapter of my book, which is old now. It's 10 years old, I think. So it's somewhat outdated, but some of it's okay. But I sent the first chapter because it tells you some of my story. So I'm thinking that perhaps for those of you who didn't have a chance to read it, maybe I'll just tell you briefly my story about how I came to be involved in interfaith things, and then there are some discussion questions that we can get into. Does that sound okay
Mhm.
with you? So, one of the ways that I got involved in all of this is through a woman named Elsie. And she was a member of my congregation back in Buffalo, New York. And we had an adult study group that met every Wednesday evening. And it was after 9/11,
I am so
2000.
sorry, Susan, if I may jump in for a second.
Yeah, sure,
There's so
sure.
many new faces here that I do not know. If you don't
Oh,
mind,
we should
yes,
introduce. Thank you
yes.
for that.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm sorry to jump in, but
No,
I
no, no. You're
to
absolutely
hear from
right.
everyone.
Tell us who you are, and then we'll go around.
Oh, okay. I'm Mahtab Niku. I'm from School of Sufism here in the city of Hillsborough, California.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes.
Diane, why don't we go right along with you?
Okay. I'm Diane Farner. I'm a liaison for the Sisters of Mercy in Burlingame, and I live
Okay.
in San Mateo.
Okay. John and Olga?
Hi, I'm John Poole. I'm I would call myself a religious adventurist. I'm a member of Beth Jacob Jewish Congregation in Redwood City. And right now, Olga and I are in San Juan, Puerto Rico for a few months.
Lovely.
But it's a little late here, but I just had to make it to this.
Oh, thanks. We're honored. All right, welcome. Billy Sue.
I'm Billy Sue Perry, and I'm with the First Church of Christ Scientists in San Mateo. But I will be singing at Burlingame Pres for memorial service for Beth Freiberg on September the 3rd in their choir.
Oh, nice. Okay, thank you. Miriam.
Should have been ready.
You're
I'm Miriam Zimmerman. and I'm a liaison of Congregation Beth Jacob, born a Reformed Jew, but my husband and I wanted more stuff, so we joined a conservative shul.
Okay, great. Harriet.
Yeah, I'm also from CBJ, Beth Jacob, Harriet Garfinkel, and I live in Redwood City.
All right, thank you. Bob.
I am Bob Morse. I'm the liaison for the PJCC, which is very interested in interfaith, and so am I. I live in Redwood City.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy.
Hi, my name's Nancy Gittleman. I am part of PTBE. I live in San Mateo. I grew up conservative and now I'm reform.
Okay. All right, Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, my name's Mark Denny. I'm a longtime member of the Unification Church founded by Reverend Moon, and I live in San Lorenzo.
Okay, welcome. Good to see you. Jess Ann. Did I say your name right?
Yes.
Jess Ann? Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasan and I'm a member of New Heaven, New Earth Church.
Okay, welcome. Did I get everyone or
Kurt,
no, I
think you
didn't. There are
forgot Kurt.
more. There are more.
I think I heard my
Who
name.
is this?
Oh, no, well, Rick's
IMPER.
That's Kurt. That's Kurt.
Kurt, that's Kurt. Hi, Kurt.
Hi, yes, I'm Kurt Lutz with Ladera Community Church, living in Half Moon Bay, formerly Redwood City. I heard a few of those names earlier. UCC Congregational Church.
All right, thank you. Ashish.
Hi, I'm Ashish Khan. I'm liaison for Vedanta Society of Berkeley and San Jose. I live
Okay.
in San Jose, California. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now do I have everybody?
Rick.
Yeah.
Who's
yeah,
missing?
I'm here, Rick Holbrook.
Oh, I knew I saw you. I knew where did he go? There you are. Okay. Tell us who
with
you are.
the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Foster City.
Very good. What a great group. Wow, I'm very, very impressed. So thank you for reminding me to do that because there are folks here I don't know very well yet either. So this was a good opportunity for that. Okay, so going back to 2001 in my group in Buffalo, we were, they wanted to study world religions. And that was great idea, but they decided to start with Hinduism. They wanted to study Hinduism. Okay. I happened to be involved with a women's interfaith group at the time. And so I asked them if they would like, if I would invite a friend from that group who is a Hindu to come and, answer their questions or, talk, share stories. And that's what we did. And it was a wonderful evening. Everybody got along great. But then everyone left except for Elsie. And Elsie came to me in my office and said, Pastor, I need to talk to you. Like, okay. And she said, I loved tonight. It was wonderful. I loved meeting Pat, the Hindu woman's name. Loved meeting Pat, and this was great. But I'm afraid that if I accept her religion as valid, then I'm betraying Jesus. And I was taken aback by that because I had never thought about it. But all of a sudden I realized I need to think about this. How do we as Christians think about other religions? Because Christianity can be an exclusivist religion. And so that began my journey. I ended up moving from Buffalo to Berkeley to go to Pacific School of Religion to work on my doctorate on the topic of how do Christians make sense of other religions and remain faithful to our own. And I called it the Elsie Project. Elsie is gone now. She died a lot of years ago now, but I did manage to talk to her one time because I wanted to get her permission to include her by name in my book. And I told her, I said, you started it all because you're the one who asked that question. And she said, I don't remember even asking you that question, but of course I'm old and I don't remember a lot of things. But I said, "Yep, you did ask the question and you started all of this." So this is also in honor of Elsie Leary. Um, so that began my quest to understand how would I help other Christians to know that they could study and learn about, respect, and even love, and maybe even incorporate other practices into their own without feeling that they were betraying Jesus somehow. So that's how it all really started. I ended up doing a 6-month long project with a Buddhist Christian group that got together once a month for six months. And we went and visited different Buddhist temples and different meditation practices and a Christian service with Holy Communion, so they could experience one another's practices. And that ended up being very, very, very interesting, especially their questions that they had for one another. So that ended up in 2005. I got the degree, and then I decided that I wanted to make a book out of it because I know that from going to different events, mainly Christian, but not all. I've done some interfaith events too that included Christians. The question of how do how do we deal with the things in our religion that perhaps give us some unease or discomfort? I remember asking it in an interfaith gathering one time that I did. I think it was for the American Bar Association, actually, and it was a mixed religious group. And I said, those of you who are of other traditions, what is it in your tradition that causes you to question one another or have disagreements about things? And one man just immediately chimed up and he said, I'm a Sikh, and in ours, it's whether a man has to have a beard. I had no idea, but evidently each group has something. And I've learned that too, that everybody has something, especially yourselves that I'm a Christian, but there are a lot of Christians who we don't agree with each other on a lot of things. And especially in the interfaith arena, that it's usually maybe the more liberal or more progressive of us who are involved, and those who are perhaps more conservative are wary. Not exclusively, but that can be the case. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm gonna stop there just to ask one, if anybody has any questions, but also then to ask you if you have ever been involved in some kind of experience where you've been with people from another religious tradition, and ask what that was like for you, if it was a positive experience or it was something that caused you some discomfort or disease or questions. And it may be both. Maybe you both enjoyed it and had questions. So let me start with that. Any questions for me, first of all? All right, no questions. All right, good. And so now here's the part where you have to answer. And I'm sure each and every one of you has had an interfaith encounter. I'm pretty sure about that. How was that for you? Is there anything you would like to share?
I'll
about what it was
speak a
like?
little bit.
Okay, Harriet.
A few years ago, I was in Bali, and for those that aren't aware, they practice a form of Hinduism that is very integrated: family, society, art, culture, religion. It's everything, which is quite wonderful. And sadly, our driver's brother slipped on tile and hit his head and died. And so we were invited to the cremation, to the whole ceremony. I mean, we were invited to their house to sit in the ballet where the body had been prepared. We were served sweets and treats, and then we were went with the procession to the cremation grounds. And what was very interesting was huge tower, and lots of ceremony around the cremation, and everybody had their iPhones out. It was a joyous occasion, and they were recording it on their iPhones, because those ashes then would be brought to the sea and released into the sea for reincarnation. So that was just, it was it obviously stuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And maybe even informed my belief about reincarnation.
Yeah, that's one of the questions of there's something called passing over and coming back. That when we pass over into another tradition, and we do it respectfully and open-heartedly, but then we come back to our own. And oftentimes we come back with either questions, concerns, or appreciation, and maybe even a shift in what we even believe. Yeah, that's a great example. Anybody else would like to share something?
I can share if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Thank you. This is many, 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 many years ago. I was born in Iran and in the city of Tehran, where we lived. We had neighbors of very, very close by. Armenian group were there, Jewish group were there. Armenian school actually was right next to us. And so it mixed up different religions. And I, as a child, didn't feel anything different, unusual, having all these different traditions around me. I thought it's normal, everybody does it. But what was very interesting, and I had forgotten about this completely and until you put this question out there. As a 7-year-old, I think, 8-year-old, I had the duty of going to some of the Jewish families' homes. And I don't remember everything, but I think on Saturdays, to turn off their lights or turn on their lights, something to do with the lights that they couldn't do it themselves. And I, as a child, was able to go in there and help them out with that, which was so interesting for me that I get to do this. For me, it's okay. I don't know what this is for, but I have no problem doing. And then that same group had a wedding, and I found myself in that wedding. I remember, it's so funny, so many years ago, and I remember, they had nuts on each table and all the chairs next to each other. And I looked around and I thought, this is just like ours. Yes, they're a Jewish group, but this is just like ours. I think that was the first time that I realized that, yes, I guess we're different because we have our own groups, but we're not that different at all. And it was wonderful. And as I said, so many years ago that I had completely forgotten, but it's so wonderful to revisit those great memories now. That I think it was interfaith. I didn't know such a thing even existed. But anyway, great experience for me.
And Harriet is putting in the chat that it's called the Shabbos Goy.
Shabbos Goy.
Shabbos Goy.
Yeah. Because observant Jews can't turn off ovens, lights, anything, but somebody who's not Jewish can do it for them.
Do for them. Yes, that's what that was.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else? One more, perhaps? Share.
I
know you've been dying to talk. Go ahead.
Okay.
Bob, yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay. I thought you were calling somebody else first.
Nope, it's you.
Way back in college, I went to a technical school, and I took a course called Religions of the East. And I was raised a conservative Jew. And when I took the course, it was just because I was curious. It had nothing to do with my coursework or what I was going to graduate in, but I was just curious. And part of the course was to actually attend services of each of the religions that we were studying. Fast forward 62 years from that course. Yes, I'm 84.
No.
I'm playing tennis in the morning, so don't feel sorry. And my son and daughter are both in interfaith marriages. And the one thing that the course taught me was no matter what the religion, whatever the beliefs, tolerance is the only way to conduct your life. And I think we have an extremely harmonious relationship with my daughter-in-law and my son-in-law, and I really attribute it to the things that I learned way back when and practiced since.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's one of the ways that many people get introduced to another tradition is through a marriage. Yeah, I had a couple come to me when I was a pastor in San Francisco, and the guy, the groom, originally was from North Dakota, so of course was Lutheran, and his mom had reached out to find a Lutheran pastor who would do a Lutheran Hindu wedding. And so I got to know that couple, and of course they came in saying, "Oh, we don't have any problems, everything's fine, we don't have any disagreements." I said, "Well, what are you going to do when you have kids?" And grandma back in North Dakota wants to have that baby baptized, and they all just kind of went, "Oh, I don't know." Well, we talked about it. We worked it out. Actually, I did the baptism for their for their first baby. So, yeah, these are great examples of interfaith encounter, and often do then perhaps raise some questions too that need to be worked through. Great story. Anybody else just was dying to talk? Yeah, John.
Well, I could also tell very positive stories, but I'll tell one that was more difficult. It's when I was in college and I was taking pre-med courses. I was in an embryology class, which is obviously the development of the human fetus, and we were talking, the professor was talking about how the developmental stages of the fetus repeat the evolutionary history of the human race, going all the way back to single cell organisms and through, through fish with gills and so on. And after class or during a break, there was a fellow student in the class who was going to go to medical school. He was taking the class as a future doctor, medical doctor. And he said that in his Christian faith, he believed that the world was 5,000 years old. He was a creationist. And I said, "Well, what do you think of this class?" He says, "I think it's very interesting. I said, "Well, do you disagree with it?" And he says, "Oh, no, all of this is completely compatible with my understanding of the Bible, of God creating the world in 6 days and specifically creating each specific species on Earth, no evolution or anything like that. I don't believe in that. It's illogical to me." And I just found it an extremely interesting conversation. I mean, at first it was challenging. I was like, my first reaction was, "What? Are you stupid?" Was my honest reaction. I didn't say that, of course, but it was like, how can you be in a science class and believe something so illogical? And I would ask him questions. What about the fossil record? And what about carbon dating? And on with things that people like Richard Dawkins and people like that are constantly throwing in the face of religion. And I brought those up, and he had very good logical answers for all of them. And we continued these conversations throughout the class. And I guess I started out saying it was a a more difficult example that I've had, but I guess the bottom line is I just found it so interesting to see how a person could have really a completely different worldview and way of organizing their understanding of the universe than my own, and yet still make sense. And I could see how it worked for him. And in a way, I thought it was beautiful. Even though I couldn't own for myself any of it, I wanted to have more conversations with him to hear more of how he put the puzzle pieces together in his life and how it makes sense with the fact that he was a scientist and was going to be a doctor someday.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great example of the fact that you listened. You asked a question, and then you didn't say, "What's wrong with you?" You're, but then you listened and actually learned something. And that's, boy, that's something we all need to do better with these days, right? Especially with the people we disagree with, not just about religion, and we're not going to get into all that, but it's the same thing. If we can learn to listen to people who we disagree with or have different belief systems with, and find out that we might have some things in common, and things not in common, but that's okay too. But that's the way we do it. So yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, Bob, did you have something, Bob?
Who wrote Seven Principles of what Highly Intelligent or something like that.
Oh, right.
And he has a principle that I've believed in and followed, and right along with what you're saying, and that is listen and understand before you would be understood.
Yeah, boy, words we could
do more of that in the world. That would be
Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, let's segue into holy envy, because it all sort of relates together. And for those of you who were able to watch the video, which was of me, but if you did want to find the other one that is much more eloquent, but Barbara Brown Taylor, who wrote a book. I thought she stole the idea from me, actually, because she did what I was doing. But she talks about holy envy in a really, really great way. So where I got that, just to sort of encapsulate where it is for those of you who perhaps didn't have a chance to watch it, comes from Krister Stendahl, the late Krister Stendahl was a Lutheran pastor, bishop. He was Bishop of Sweden for a time, but he was very active in interfaith areas. And he had what he called the 3 rules of religious understanding. And the 3 are, and I think they're just great, but the first one is, when trying to understand another religion, ask the adherents of that religion, not its enemies. It sounds all right. It sounds like, okay, of course, but you can see how that often happens when we hear about another religion from people who have an axe to grind or something, right? So ask the adherents of the religion, not its enemies. And then the second rule is, don't compare your best to their worst. I guess it could go the other way too. But don't think, oh, well, we're so great at, well, Lutherans, for Lutherans, we're the experts on grace, but you so-and-sos are, you don't know anything about it, when that's just not true at all. Does that make sense? Don't compare your best to their worst. And then the third one, leave room for holy envy. And he describes that as being willing, open and willing, to recognize elements in another religious tradition, elements that you admire and wish might find greater scope in your own religious tradition or faith. For me, I find that I had a friend come and speak at my church who is actually, she's a Sufi, Madab, she's a Sufi, but she taught me about fasting and what fasting really was all about, because she just looked forward to Ramadan because it wasn't a burden to her. It was a great spiritual opportunity and practice. And I really learned that and appreciated it, especially when it came then to the Christian practice of fasting during Lent, which isn't the same. We don't do it the same way, but it gave me a perspective that I hadn't had before. And I very much appreciated that. And also the practice of regular prayer. I thought that's something that I could certainly benefit from. So that's kind of how Holy Envy works. Let me find where I had the questions I wanted to ask for that. So yeah, what do you think of Krister Stendahl's three rules? Any commentary or question about that? And I guess, would you add anything to it if you needed to add another rule? Is there anything you would add?
Susan, I have just a comment, a brief one.
Yeah.
That is, I really, okay, so I'm a Jew, and I think what I admire a lot about Christianity is forgiveness. I remember some horrible things happening to people, and on television they'll say, but I forgive him, or and it's, you can tell it comes from their faith. And I come from a tradition, it seems like everyone I know, not everyone, but many people I know in my family carry grudges instead of forgiveness. So I really wish that we could absorb some of that. And
yeah, we don't always do so well with it either. You may, I don't know if you remember this or not, how many years ago was it now that there was a shooting in the Amish community in Pennsylvania, and school children were killed by the shooter. And immediately the people of that area said that they forgave the gunman. And what was really interesting about it was that they were very honest, saying, no, we don't expect it to be easy. We know it's going to be hard and a struggle, but our faith calls on us to do this. And I thought that was good, because yeah, we do struggle. I struggle with that, but thank you for that. Any others? Any other holy envies out there?
This is Ashish.
Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah, so I grew up in a multicultural, multi-faith city where there were a lot of different religions, just like somebody from Tehran mentioned. So we had Armenians, we had a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Christians, of course, and of course, a lot of from both Islamic, meaning both Shia faith as well as Sunni faith. But one of the things I felt that we could get out of Christianity, or I wished that we do more in my faith, which is Hinduism, is the aspect of service to fellow beings. Very close to my home, there were hospitals that were started by Christian churches. There were schools, a lot of Jesuit schools. As you know, India has a good education system, and some of the contributions came from the Jesuit churches. Some of the names, like one famous school is St. Xavier's, another is La Martiniers. And when I was a kid, I used to really appreciate this aspect. And when I came to the United States, a friend of mine told me that he was actually Mormon, and he was giving 1/10 of his income to the church. And I asked, when I learned about that, I thought that's a wonderful way to serve your community. So that is an example of holy envy I wanted to
Yes,
give you.
that
And
is.
I love it. I love the way, we have seen how the churches have played a key role in times of crisis and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, I went to school to learn about chaplaincy and found out that that's where, the practice of chaplaincy goes back to 4th century AD. And it is part of a Christian tradition to help people in crisis and so on and so forth. So I give you a good example from
Good
my own
example.
heart.
Good example. Thank you. Although, of course, the idea of tithing comes from our Jewish siblings. Christianity just stole everything from. Well,
Yes,
Jesus was
yeah.
Jewish. Jesus was Jewish. The disciples were
Yeah,
Jewish.
that
So-
tithe, I probably mispronounced. That's how it is pronounced. I just learned.
Yeah,
I always
tithing.
learn. And
Yes.
tithing, yeah.
Tithing.
So,
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks. Anybody else? That's a good example. Anybody else have a good holy envy?
Looks like Nancy
I have
does.
I have
Nancy.
something.
Yeah,
I
Nancy.
learned, yeah, I like to travel a lot around the world, and I was in India and I was talking to some Buddhists, and we were talking about what the main characteristics of the religion are, and one of the things they were talking about is recognizing reality without judgment or resistance. And being Jewish, I don't know if I'll ever learn how to not judge, because all my parents, I have a lot of parents, all they did was judge other people. And I'm trying though, but we're talking to people about how do you not judge somebody and how do you just let it be. And as they were talking, and when I talk to Buddhists about it, there's this, I don't know, I don't want to say there's angels flying off their shoulders, but it's like this freedom of not judging people, and you're not weighted with thinking you know something that someone else doesn't know, or you know better, or it's such an acceptance, and it seems like such a freedom be that way. And yeah, I just think that's a really interesting aspect of the Buddhist religion, which I wish I understood better.
There's always more to learn, right?
Mhm.
But that's what's great about having those experiences, is that we learn how we learn things. I have to tell you, the Buddhists who were in my discussion group back in the old days, during that time that we were meeting over those months, my car was stolen. And of course, I was very upset about it. But I thought, oh, I don't want to tell the Buddhists about it, because, they practice non-attachment and they're going to think I'm, really crazy for being so attached to my car. Let it go, right? But I went to my group and I did tell them, but I told them, but I was afraid you were gonna judge me for. And this wonderful Buddhist lady said to me, "But honey, it's your car." And I thought, thank you. She was very gracious to me. But still, it makes you made me think about it, of how that attachment does work. So yeah, that's a great example. Anybody else have a holy envy? These are wonderful. Any last one? All right, you can think about it. You can always jump in later. Let me see where I am. Oh, well, here, now it comes, and I found this with Christians in the congregations where I have served, that oftentimes it's easy for them to talk about what they like in another religion, but they don't always have such an easy time talking about what gifts they bring to the table, the interfaith table. So what gift do you think that your tradition, whatever tradition you practice now, what's the gift that I guess, what is the best of your tradition that you bring to the table? And it doesn't mean it has to be perfect. I'm thinking about forgiveness, right? We can all think of Christians who are not very forgiving, myself included sometimes, right? Let's be honest that we all have those struggles. But in theory, if not always in practice, what is it that we bring to offer to others?
Can I go?
Sure.
Can I go?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll be very brief. I feel that one of the things that you started this meeting that we pray to the to the holiness or divinity all within us, but this doesn't sometimes, I feel, come very clearly in many religions that and in my faith, especially the Vedantic faith, we are divine to start with, and our simple goal is to realize that divinity, the inner divinity. That's the purpose of life, we call. And I sometimes felt that because we are divine, sometimes I felt that in many faiths, there is a lot of emphasis on you have you are a sinner or that type of a attitude, and this is what I feel that the Vedantist philosophy of we are all divine. We are part of the divinity. We are nothing but God. That's a gift to other faiths.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good example. I don't remember who the conversation was with, but there was somebody, a Christian person, who wrote about talking with a person, I believe they were Buddhist, and the Buddhist person was saying, "You Christians must be awfully bad people. You're always talking about sin." And, yeah, we kind of do. But yeah, that's great.
Only thing is that I one of my favorite this thing is our Saint Francis Assisi, and I still remember in the prayer that it says it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. So I kind of feel like this is inherent in any religion. In other words, it's just that is probably not reminded all the time of our inner divinity. So
Right.
that's what I was thinking.
Yes, very
Thank you.
nice. Yes, thank you. Others, any others?
Well,
examples?
what I was just saying, I think all of us would say, no matter what faith we belong to, if we were to think about what we thought our faith was when we were 6 or 7 or 8 compared to the growth over the years where we are now.
Yeah.
I think, growing up as a Catholic, when I was young, we were still saying outside of the Catholic Church, you could not be saved. That was the teaching. So, obviously we've come way far from there. But when you're a little kid and that's what you hear, then you want to make sure that you're, kind of doing the right thing. You don't want to step off the track and not, get to the right place. But in response to what Ashish is saying, I think that's the thing that's occurred to me in my growth of faith development, which, I've been really very, very, I have to say, my experience in the Multi-Faith Coalition has strengthened my faith and made me much more appreciative of everybody's faith, because I see them all as part of a whole in some way. When I was growing up too, one thing you would do is maybe go to church to make a visit, which is nice because the Blessed, but what, as she says, I mean, Jesus is here with me. My God is here with me. I can talk to God all day long in my house. I mean, it's nice to go into a place to worship, and it's nice for me to be with other people in community worshiping. But, I think we're more and more aware that we all, you know, we believe we have a body and a soul. Well, what is the soul? The soul is the God that's in us, however we describe it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Very, yeah. Boy, that's certainly true for me, what I believed as a kid and what I think now. Very, very different. Um, and of course, we keep on growing, right? There's always more to think about. I find the mystics to be so meaningful to me, and not just the Christian mystics, but the Christian mystics kind of were ignored for a long time. So recovering some of them, but along with mystics of the other traditions as well, because a lot of the wisdom that they have is very much alike and is more on that order that Ashish was talking about being all connected. And yeah, nice, very nice. I guess that's my holy envy too for that. Anybody else have a story you want to share?
I think one of the things I was just going to
Oh
throw.
yeah, hi
something.
Rick.
Yeah. Because one of the things I've learned and has been reinforced in our PMC group is that ultimately, I think all religions are really trying to do the same thing, which is to help people improve their lives, to figure out better ways to live, how to help others, how to serve others. And I see that across the board in all the different faiths that we have. And those are the unifying principles that bring us together. And we call God a different name, we worship him in a different way. But ultimately, as people and as members of all those different faiths, I think that, we all have that uniform desire to serve others, to help others, to bring people together, and to live in whatever a righteous way might be, according to our faith tradition. And so that's been pretty exciting for me to really experience even more and more, as you go through life and interact with people of other faiths.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I found that when I first started getting involved more and more in interfaith things, that it became just so important to me because, yeah, all of those things, it's like the best. Not, and we're not perfect, I get that, but this is the best of who we can be when we really put our hearts and souls and minds into being together like this. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't
Miriam.
know. I want to give you like a stream of consciousness. I'll try to be brief. I think this will answer your question, but there's a saying that you get two Jews together and you have three opinions. So I think, Diane, you said you went to some dinner the other night and you realized that the Jews weren't all together on this issue. And I mean, that's how I grew up. And there was this curiosity. And also in our tradition, if you look at the history with the rabbis keeping the people together by point, counterpoint, and the Mishnah and the Talmud being written and so on, all these sacred texts. So flash forward to from the Talmud to my freshman year, which is a flashback, but I was very interested. I didn't know that much. I thought I knew a lot about Christianity because I grew up in a small town and there weren't a lot of Jews there. So I was surrounded by my Christian friends. But anyway, so freshman year, a couple of upperclassmen were very interested in me, and they talked about religion a lot. And so I asked them questions, and I really, wanted to understand what Christianity was all about. And then it turns out they were part of an organization called Campus Crusade for Christ.
I saw that coming. Yeah, saw it coming.
And so I was interested in it from an intellectual, kind of like PMC point of view, because I really want to know. And they, after this period of several weeks, they didn't understand why I didn't want to be baptized because I was so interested. So, but fortunately at PMC, nobody is going to try to baptize me. So I'm grateful for that. And I do really like to learn. And just a final thought, Reverend Christie, may she rest in peace. she used to start many prayers with, "Oh God of many names." And I
Mhm.
just love that phrase.
Yes,
Mhm.
I do too. I do too. I did a video. I've been, well, I don't need to get into all that, but I was talking about that well, this is for Christians, that we tend to use the same names for the divine all the time. Father, Lord, Master. It's like, what do you notice about that? Well, they're all male. They're all male names. There are more names. There are many, many, many names that we could use, not to exclude those. We use those, but how about adding some? You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. Um, yeah, that's the hard thing about being Christian is that we have to contend with the fact that we have some very big differences on how we understand Jesus's command to go and spread the good news. Um, whether that means to push somebody into believing or being baptized, and it there's more interfaith work to be done, I'm afraid, among
Right.
Christians.
Right.
So anyway, that's a whole nother session. Any other good, you got great stories. Any other stories about um your what do you bring into the table? Maybe something that nobody else has thought of yet. What is important in your group that you think is valuable for the rest of us?
Well, this is Philly Sue, and maybe I should share some of Christian Science because
Oh yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot of misunderstanding with my religion sometimes.
yeah.
First off, I grew up in Christian Science, and I was told from the minute that I was born that God is love, and that as myself, I reflect that I am his image and likeness.
Mhm.
And in Christian Science, God is defined as divine principle, life, truth, love, spirit, soul. And so all of those have attributes, and we all have those attributes to bring to life and share with others. And in Christian Science, you will not ever hear, "I am a sinner." And I went to the Catholic Church recently with part of my family when I was visiting. And the first thing out of the priest's mouth was something about sin. And the cross was hanging there with Jesus on it. And you don't see any of that in a Christian Science church, because everything is focused on the spiritual side of life, not on the
Yeah.
material side of life.
Uh-huh.
And on the first Sunday of every month, I believe, Nancy, you were sharing about judging. Every first Sunday of every month from our desk, the first reader reads, "Neither animosity nor mere personal attachment should impel the motives or acts of members of the Mother Church. In science," capitalized, that means the laws of God. "In science, divine love alone governs men, and a Christian Scientist reflects the sweet amenities of love in rebuking sin. In true brotherliness, charitableness, forgiveness. The members of this church should daily watch and pray to be delivered from all evil, from prophesying, judging, condemning, counseling, influencing, or being influenced erroneously." And this is a reminder given to us on the first Sunday of every month in every Christian Science church worldwide.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
you know, when you said what do you bring to the table, or what is unique, it's like I just grew up that we all are directly connected to God as his image and likeness, and everything
Yeah.
that God, the divine, whatever you call God, because Barbara Streisand sings a song, "One God with many names." So
Uh-huh.
whatever our faiths call the higher power,
Yeah.
if we all learn to reflect that and treat
Yeah.
each other as the golden rule states, then I
Yeah.
think we understand each other a lot better.
Amen. Preach it. Amen. Very good. I love it. All
Before
right.
John speaks, I just want to point out that we haven't heard from everybody. I think there are a
Yeah.
couple people, and you know,
Yeah. Good point. How about, let's see,
Only if they want to.
Only if you want to. Let's give a second for people to gather their thoughts. Is anybody who hasn't spoken yet wish
Yeah,
to?
is it okay if I
I'll share
share?
not a story as much.
Oh, and you'll be next. Okay,
Yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
it's okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know who that was. Who was speaking along with
Go ahead,
Jess-Ann?
Jess-Ann. Jess-Ann's turn.
Okay,
Okay.
Jess-Ann, let's hear
Thank
it.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to echo a little bit of what everyone said. Growing up Christian, I had a lot of misunderstandings about different faiths. But then when I started to learn a little bit more about the Bible, I could see that, God, He has a heart that wants to just bless everyone. It doesn't matter like what religion we're from. And what I've come to realize is that He does promise in the end a better world for everyone. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they misunderstand things about Christianity, that we're very exclusive. But when they come to really know God's heart through the Bible or through just comparing scripture, I found that many people that I'm involved with interfaith, like from different religions, that have that also open heart to see what the Bible says. I think like many of our people here have already said, like they can see that people have the same hope for each other, and that's the same heart that God has, is to bless everyone with better life, better living conditions than what we have right now. And so when they have that time to sit and talk like this and check what's in their scripture, then they've come to see like it's very similar.
Yes.
So that's something that I've experienced through these types of conversations. And I haven't been around interfaith as long as everyone here, but I found that the more that I do it, the more it also strengthens my faith, because it just shows again how God is trying to work through everyone. And we all have that opportunity because He was able to fulfill His promises through Jesus. So I think this is just really amazing. So I just want to thank everyone for sharing and being
Oh, thank
guided
you.
by my friend Mark.
Thank you. Thank you. That what you
Yeah.
said about your own faith being strengthened, I find that to be true. And I bet most people here would say the same thing. When I do workshops, oftentimes in Christian settings, I get somebody who worries that it's going to destroy somebody's faith, especially of the children. They worry about the children and they might convert. And I always think, man, if you're teaching them such thin some faith, then that they would convert. Or what if they do? Is that such a bad thing? But yeah, I love that I found that to be true, that my own Christianity has been strengthened by learning about others. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That was great. And talking about the heart, God's heart, and our hearts, have the same. We beat the same tune, right? That's right. Thank you so much. Okay, somebody was,
Well, it was
Kurt. Kurt.
Kurt, yeah. I've heard such a thread, such a quilt. There's been such a quilt has been woven tonight that I really appreciate that part. I can wrap it around my shoulders. Multi-faith is so important, and viewpoints. One of the things, I don't know where it's Buddhist, of course, but we're mostly Buddhist. Mindfulness. I don't know. We said the word. I love it when Susie talked about spiritual, not material. And then so much of my work right now is in meditation and working with Thich Nhat Hanh. And I was so sort of gratified that Thich Nhat Hanh had both Jesus on his altar where he prays, it's really his desk where he works, but it's also an altar. He had both Buddha and Jesus, right side by side. It's very important. And when we can combine stuff, that it really works. So mindfulness is one thing I haven't heard too much about tonight. But the other thing, when someone mentioned the St. Francis prayer, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, that you said, it's Assis, I think. It doesn't matter. But so I have the St. Francis prayer in my practice. I use it, even to go to sleep sometimes. You repeat. And at the end, it does say, it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. But in my Buddhist practice, we added to self. It is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. And so to me, that really brings it home to the internal.
Yes. Yes. I think that's a great example of passing over and then coming back to your own and modifying and incorporating something that I think is not foreign to Christianity, but we don't pay attention as much as we should. And it's good.
I had a grin behind my mind when I had the honor of officiating at my mother-in-law's burial service, and she's devout Episcopal, and I think someone mentioned earlier, but some of these Christian crusades for Christ or something. There's that mentality where it's just Christian, Christian, Christian. And so I wanted to use the St. Francis prayer in my closing. And so I got all choked up when I had to actually say it for real, in that kind of real setting. But I went ahead and put in dying to self. My mother-in-law wouldn't quite understand that, but that's okay.
Interesting. I was going to say, I wonder if anybody even noticed, but probably some would. Yeah. Interesting.
And also, just a commentary on tonight. I am amazed, one, with the number of people, the diversity of people. I don't know who did all the marketing for this, but whatever it was great.
It's all Diane.
Diane.
Once again, Diane.
Diane. Yes.
So it's such a wonderful evening, and so much energy here in the room. It's so heartening in these terrible times to come to an oasis like this.
I agree. And I think it gives me it really lifts my spirit to hear your stories, because I hope we can do even more of this, that especially.
Well, and I want to comment on what a gift to have Reverend Susan amongst us. She's such so knowledgeable and has such a great way about her. I mean, yeah, I might have sent out some notices, but it was because of you that we all came. So.
Well, you put in the notice something about an evening with the Reverend, like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But it sounds like
fireside chat.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, I'd also included in the email that y'all got, there were 2 of my videos, and they were spiritual practices. So just, I'm not going to show them again, but just to say that one of them was the labyrinth, which I find, and the one at Mercy Center, certainly, and I hope it's going to stay there, one of my favorites. And it's because of the awareness at Mercy Center of both East and West religion. And so the labyrinth is not a specifically Christian thing. And I really appreciate that. So that's a strong spiritual practice for me. If you could see where I am, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got labyrinths all over my office here, and I have a sand labyrinth over there. And if I could put one in my backyard, I would. But so that was one, and talking about the meaning of it as I walked through it. And then the other one was a mantra that I actually learned from a Buddhist teacher, but I modified it for myself too, because at the end, the last thing of the one that he taught us was, may I be a servant to all. Now, I don't disagree with that, but maybe it's being a woman, I don't know, but I just get a little nervous about that, being a servant to all. And I changed it to, may I be an instrument of your peace. Changed it to that. So that was in the video. So I wanted to ask you all of what spiritual practices you appreciate or like. Anything?
I can just jump in. It seems like Mark did not mention tonight. Can we hear from you if you don't mind?
Not at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mark, you want to jump in?
Well, yeah, what in my faith, at least when I was younger, emphasis is really on, trying to convert other people. And it was very difficult because I was I was I was terrible at it. I remember, especially in New York City, you're supposed to like go up to somebody on the street, but by the time my mouth would even open, they're already gone. And so one day when I just kind of stumbled across an interfaith gathering, and people actually wanted to hear what I believe, I was in heaven. and I ended up kind of joining with a Jewish friend and a Muslim friend I met through the interfaith. The Jewish is actually part of my church, Unification Church, but and going to interfaith meetings all over the Bay Area, and that's how I met Susan and many others.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the most memorable experience I had in interfaith was when a Jain person came and shared the concept of I forget, but it's like it translates from Sanskrit to multiplicity of viewpoint. And he said that the key to peace is to be able to accept, one idea as true and valid, and then another idea as true and valid at the same time. And it kind of blew my mind. And it's like I try to hold that up as an ideal that it's kind of I haven't figured out how to do it, but it's a beautiful thing, and I could see how it could bring peace. When you can harmonize in yourself like radically different ideas from different perspectives and be able to, relate to them in that kind of higher dimension. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of the ways that theologians who work on these kinds of things talk about how to make sense of pluralism in our world today. That you can hold a belief in something, and you can also respect the belief of another as true. And yeah, for some people, well, maybe it's not something that we humans can understand completely with our limited brains, but I find that it's a better place to live, right? A better place to be. Yeah.
Maybe
Thanks.
it's a little bit like artists, each of whom have their own style of art: classical art, representational art, abstract art, geometric art.
Yeah.
Totally getting into their own style and creating with it great beauty and really being faithful to their path that they are exploring, while at the same time looking at all these other schools of art and maybe even having gone through some of them themselves and loving them equally without departing from their own, being faithful to their own path.
Yeah. So the new Descending Staircase by Picasso is just as true and real and valid as the representational painting by Rembrandt, say. I don't know. I don't know art well enough, but you know what I mean. That's a great point. And it also makes me think of how just as we each learn in different ways, some are more visual, some are more verbal, right brain, left brain. It's true for our religious world as well. And that was a big revelation to me too. Lutheranism is a very heady, systematic theological religion. And, we can get very caught up in that. And it's wonderful to break out of that and go to the other side of the brain and do some art. It's important to learn how to get out of our little silos.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that, Mark, what you said just now about holding two different realities or ways of viewing reality as both having truth or being completely true in their own system. To me, that was a flash of lightning when you said that.
Yeah.
So thank you for offering that. Yeah.
That is.
Let me
Kurt.
second or third that John's statement. Back to you, Mark. The way I've heard it saying it is the opposite of a great truth is another great truth. So it was a flash of the memory of a flash of light for me too, John. But Mark, I would like you to share the stage for a little bit, maybe, and tell us. You said Unification Church is where your background is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Maybe you could elaborate on that a little more for me.
Well, so the Unification Church is it's in one sense a whole new religion, and in another sense it's like it's a Christian church. So like Christians don't like us because we believe that Reverend Moon is the second coming of Christ. That the way I see it is like in the Bible you hear that Jesus said that John the Baptist was the Elijah, and which means he wasn't Elijah, but he came in the spirit and power of Elijah. So he was the second coming of Elijah according to Jesus' words. But unfortunately, the Jews really were expecting Elijah to come on the clouds. So they couldn't receive what Jesus was saying about Elijah and John the Baptist. And we believe similarly that Christians are expecting Jesus, or not all of them, to come on the clouds and in some kind of spiritual way. But we see the Bible saying that no, he's coming as a man born on the earth. And the divine principle, which is the scripture that we have, one of the main scriptures, explains a lot of reasons why, God wanted to send the second coming in Korea and through the person of Reverend.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad Mahab
Thank you.
asked you to join us.
Yeah, thank you. Harriet?
I was just reminded a couple of things that were said. Susan, when you were talking about labyrinths, last summer I went to a retreat that was in a town just off the Camino de Santiago. So we met a lot of pilgrims, and we actually walked about 12 miles one day on the Camino.
Beautiful.
And and there was a labyrinth there to walk as well. And what was really interesting was that everybody was on a path, but everybody's journey was individual. And so it just reminded all of that felt synthesized to me.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Thank you. Any other spiritual practices that anyone appreciates for yourself, or maybe that you would like and you just haven't done it yet? Anything?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You go first.
Are you sure? Thank you. For Sufism, at least the school that I belong to, we have so many people within this school. It's a global school. It's not just, San Francisco Bay Area. It's a global school. But we have so many people from different religions who are Sufis. So it is very clear to them when they ever attend a session, they hear about our school, you do not have to change your religion to become a Sufi.
Right.
So that is a huge part of the community that we have. So for example, for us, meditation is huge, and we have meditation classes, and now they're on an app, which is amazing. And there is this wonderful Jewish woman in Los Angeles who does her Tamarkos classes, the meditation classes in Hebrew. So there are 11 languages that are taught. But this lady, besides all the, before all the wars and stuff started, she would go to Israel every other year because that is her religion. And she would take her daughter with her to teach her about their tradition. And she's totally devoted to Sufism.
Yeah.
And in every which way. So that's what I have seen, part of the school that I belong to, that there's so many people with different religions that did not have to. So, with Islam, Islam has this thing that I never understood, but it does. If you repeat a few words and say, there's only one God or whatever, Muhammad is his message, you're Muslim. And so with Sufism, it doesn't work that way at all. It's not something that you can turn over like that and say, I am. So it's because it's all about your heart. It's very, very, very individual. It's not a group thing. And everybody, as Harriet was just saying, it's a very individual thing. It's a path that each one of us have to walk in. And also, yes, God is right here now, nowhere to be found anywhere else. But anyway, so that's part of the Sufism. That I don't think it's just the school that I belong to. This is part of, I was watching actually some videos from, whatever, 10th century, 9th century, and the Sufi masters. That was their teaching, that I would never want to change the religion, for you to attend our sessions or become part of us. So anyway, that's something that I appreciate about.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the whirling dervishes. I just think that they are it's so meaningful to me. And times that I've gone to interfaith events where they've actually allowed us to participate. And I find so, and I think that it's one of many that are like body prayers.
Yeah,
That
we do that too,
we
yes.
use our body, the Sufi dances, right? Yes, yes.
They twirl, but what we
Yes.
do with our chanting is actually the sign of infinity.
Yes.
That is.
I love that.
But I just wanted to say quickly that when I was watching your video, it just went to the next video, and the next video was your meditation with Sufism.
Yes.
La ilaha illallah, which I found so interesting.
Yes.
And so it's a small world, and it's wonderful to be part of this group.
Well, it's my holy envy. It's my holy envy.
So Mahtab,
yes.
We're having dancing on Peace Day. Maybe you could teach us Sufi dance.
So Diane, should I share that we are planning to do a zikr or chanting, which is it's not a dance for sure, but it is a
and
few lines
with a
of
drum.
poetry. And hopefully the guy's going to show up. Yes, I've been checking out with him and he promised to show. So there is some music, not
wonderful,
music, the drum kind of thing that Diane is right. That he's supposed to be there with us. But even he doesn't show up, well, he should.
Be fine.
I don't use it now. Because I don't know him very well, and he said he was coming, but I'm not sure. But if he comes, it'll be amazing.
He'll be fine. I think he's coming.
That'd be wonderful. Wonderful.
We're gonna do ours next too, which I'm looking forward to everything there. But yes.
I want to, just because of the fact that there's 10 minutes left, I want to present an idea to you, Susan, with this group.
Okay.
Would you, because in our planning, we did plan 2 other books. One was on Sufism, but we have to get that book ahead of time.
Okay.
And I don't know if we'll get, when Mahtab talked about it. What was the name of it, Mahtab? Building
a bridge between religions.
The bridge between religions, but I think we talked about if we do that book, we kind of have to order it. I mean, it's like $20 or something like that. You can't really get it in the library. So that was one idea, and the other was the book of Brother Lawrence, which
Oh.
is easy to get.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if you would do another month similar to this with some different links that we could have another discussion as we're figuring out how does this group feel about that?
Susan, can you resend to me what you said you sent out? I did not get that.
Oh, no, of course.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
I didn't get that
Do we
either.
have your email? I think that's the
I put it
problem.
in the chat.
Okay. Diane, will you pick that
Yeah.
up and add her to the list? Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah, for
But I mean,
sure.
are you open to doing another month as we sort out what we want to do next?
Sure.
Because
I
our
just don't know what you would like to do.
Well, continue, I think, this with maybe some different links for us to read and
Okay.
discuss.
Okay. All right.
Maybe
How does the group,
I would-
how does the group feel about that?
Well, first, I would suggest that anyone who didn't get an email about tonight's meeting and maybe just heard of it through other channels, maybe send in a text right now with their email address just to make sure
Yep.
we have them in a contact list.
For sure. Definitely. If you didn't get the email,
Because,
put it in
for
chat and
example,
Diane will pick it up. There's
Nancy,
Jess Ann. Yay.
Nancy, I know
Well-
you're not on the email list that usually goes out to book group
Well, I
people,
see,
for
I see
example.
one chat. I don't see another email. I see one, I see,
Jess Ann.
Jess Ann's. Oh, I see now. I see yours. All right.
Okay, great.
All right. Look. All right. Is there anybody else that's isn't on our email list?
Didn't get the
Mark,
memo.
are you on our email list, Mark? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right.
I think,
Kurt?
can I just say something, Susan? I think it would
Sure.
be interesting as you started out and part of this tonight
Mhm.
was talking about the best things of different religions.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because all religions are so different, and I think religions are so incredibly interesting
Yeah.
because that gives you an eye into people's lives who follow those religions, and whatever it is, even shamans in the market. I mean, I've spent many an hour talking to shamans. It's like
Yeah.
just to understand cultures and people through the eyes of their religion, and depending on how much they believe in it or how much they practice or how they practice. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just so mind-blowing. I used to live in a Muslim culture for a couple years, and I just came back from Central Asia where it was supposed to be Muslim cultures, and there were alcohol stores, what are they called? Everywhere. And I was asking, why are there's just pure alcohol? And I said, what is going on? And everybody said, well, it's because it's from Russia. It's the old time. Russia had a lot of,
Oh, okay.
but just to learn all these little
Sure.
interesting things.
And how much culture does play into religion
Yes,
too so often
sure.
to understand that. Yeah. Well, I definitely will ponder this, but certainly if you have ideas like that, Nancy, and others, send them to me, or send them if you want to send it through to Diane and she'll send them to me, but get in touch. My email, if it's not up there, I don't know if it is, smstrauss@icloud.com. You can find me.
Oh, not hey, don't use that.
Hey is fine too. They all go to the same place.
Ah.
HEY.com is probably easier, right? smstrauss@hey.com with your ideas or suggestions. But I love the fact that you all were so willing to share yourselves and stories. I would love to be able to continue with that and go even further. If that's okay, we can do that. Be happy to.
Please, let's have more of these.
Okay. All right. So when's our next meeting?
It'll be the fourth Thursday of September, right?
The 23rd.
Or fourth
23rd.
Tuesday. Wait, I'm in the wrong.
Whoops. Did I have the right day? Tuesday. Yeah, the 23rd. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I hope you will all come back again and tell others that
Now I
this
noticed
was
on the
fun.
calendar. I noticed on the calendar that's the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Is that a do you do a service on that day?
We won't be coming on that day.
You won't be
travel.
coming on that day.
No.
Okay, well, that's
That
not,
would be,
yeah.
that would be like Easter.
Well,
Yeah.
is the 30th okay for people then that month? It's usually, we wanted to keep it on the 4th Thursday, but we're not going to do it on a religious holiday
Right, exactly,
Thank you.
in an interfaith group.
exactly.
Is the 30th available for the people around here?
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
just want to say that the universe has spoken. There are 5 Tuesdays for a reason.
There you
Yeah,
go.
okay, exactly.
There you are.
Are you
Book has spoken.
available? Are you available, Susan?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, so we'll put it down then for, the 30th.
Okay.
And
And
will that be continuing what we're doing with Susan, or was another topic planned? What?
No, I think we're going to continue with Susan, and then
Yay.
what we need to do in between, and I don't know if we want to, our group, here's the thing. Sometimes you have to make decisions, because if you keep asking people what they want, then you never get anywhere.
Right.
So we came up with 2 books that we wanted to do. One is the one that Mahtab recommended. It was The Bridge Building of Sufi. I think that the dilemma with that is it is $20. Is everybody open to buying that book?
No, I'd say not for my case, but there's got to be a book similar.
Yeah, if
and
we,
also valuable.
So while we're looking for that book, this is what the dilemma is. When I looked up the Brother Lawrence book, it's very easy to get. So one thought is to have Susan have one more week, a continuation of the one more month, and then you actually, we're gonna let's see, then we could do the if we got to, if I think doing a bridge building Sufi book is wonderful, but we need to find one that's easy to get, that's not expensive. So that's the dilemma there. So I guess the question is, in October, do we want to do the Brother Lawrence book, and we can advertise that? That's what October is? What's your feeling?
I'm just wondering about the Sufism bridge between religions. And I know we've always had the books, like this time was amazing because Susan had the videos. I'm wondering if not having them, I mean, anybody who wants to purchase it, wonderful. If I can help with that, I definitely will. But not having the book for that session, would that work? If I
Well,
presented
I mean,
and
that was the
I
thing.
have
Would you
the
be
conversation.
would you be able to find videos that we could look at to use for discussion?
Unfortunately, there are no videos. I found a cassette tape that I couldn't even find anything to play it on to see if that might even work for us. But no, unfortunately, I was not able to find any videos on that at all. So anyway, it's a thought. You guys work out what works best for everybody, and then we can go forward with that.
Yeah,
Well,
I have
go
a
ahead.
couple, no, I have a couple of books on Sufism, and I can't find them at this exact second, but I'm sure we could find something.
Well, there are many, many books about
Yeah.
Sufism. One that I had
Yes.
recommended.
If you could find,
was-
well, I mean,
yes.
if Susan does September, that gives us time to
Yes.
look. In
Yes.
October, we could do the Sufism with the idea that, we could look what's available I looked in the library. I couldn't find anything in the library. I don't, and that, so I think if you were to look at YouTube or something and find any videos that you think
Right. Yeah.
would be compatible with what you wanted, maybe we could do it that way. I mean,
I think Mahtab, you were maybe wanting to particularly present something coming from the angle or the perspective of your own school of Sufism. Is that right?
That's
So
what
not,
that
not
is.
just a generic book
that
about
was written.
Sufism.
It is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
general. Exactly. It is a very general. That's why, the
okay.
title, it's
Uh-huh.
a bridge between all religions. But definitely, yes, it was written by our teacher at this school.
Could
So I
I-
am open to whatever you guys decide. I have no.
Could I go ahead and order it and then maybe see how we might present it in a way that not everybody would have to have the book?
Oh
Perhaps?
my God, that would be an amazing idea. That would
That's a
be
great
great,
idea.
Susan.
So
If you
shall we
can do
plan that
that
for
would be great.
October then? Shall we plan that for October?
October. Yes.
And
Okay.
tell me the title one more time, please.
Sufism, a
Uh,
bridge between
bridge.
religions.
Okay, great. All right, I will get it.
If I can ask a quick question, can I ask what the education committee is about? What I have no idea because it's coming up in September really quickly. Is it something that you'll explain later on, or can I know about it now, or what?
You can know about it because there's not a lot to this is sort of regrouping. We're regrouping that I became the chair a year ago, but unfortunately got sick and lost a year. So now I'm back, and Rev Christie was the one who really headed up the education committee and was like the brains behind it. So really it's sort of now regrouping and figuring out what it is that we want PMC to do. Ashish already has a educational program in the pipeline, so we've got that. But we need to think about and talk about what we want to do in terms of education. So I'll be looking for ideas and inspiration.
And this can be a component of it. I mean, that's what we're trying to make it be, more so than just a separate. I mean, that, you know, people would know that the Book and Media Group is a part of the education program of PMC,
Nice.
you know.
Yes.
But the other thing is, in the past, in the education committee, for instance, with the Peace Day, we would talk about Peace Day and get the committees going at the education committee instead of separately somebody working with it and having to go around. Everybody, it's a forum to discuss these things where people will say, yes, I'll do this or I'll do that. And, you know, all of the, and also figuring out how to support something that other faith houses are already doing, because our bandwidth is limited in terms of what we can create on our own. But there's so many wonderful things that we can support that other people are having. So that's sort of, does that help you? It's a, if you're involved, did I help or make it worse, Susan?
Oh, no, of course you help. We're really organizing. We're getting things organized. What was I going to say? And also looking to include more people in the decision making and planning of things. So
So
not just
come.
one or two people. Yeah.
So if you have any interest at all, absolutely come.
Come, definitely.
It will be what it will be.
At least to give your opinions about things, even if you don't stay on the committee. We want to hear from people. What do you think we should be doing? I'm very interested in the subject of peacemaking, peace building, and I feel so strongly that interfaith groups really need to be at the forefront, especially these days, of peacemaking in our world. So that's me. But I want to hear from yes, Siva, thank you. Yes,
In
exactly.
in every generation, we say, especially now.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Siva, remind me of the author of that book, please. Peacemaking.
Looks like Mackenzie.
That's it. Yeah, Mary Mackenzie. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
This was a wonderful meeting.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we've done it. So
You guys, I joined tonight, Susan, because I wanted, number one, to meet you and understand what was going on. But normally on the fourth Tuesday of the month, we have a Bible study in our Christian reading room downtown at the same time. And
of course,
it's a hybrid. So if I don't join for future in September, I believe we're not having it. So I probably can join at the September meeting. But if you don't see me, that's where I am.
As long as we know where you are.
Tonight.
Okay. Thank you. But thank you for being here, everybody. I'll let you all go and have a very blessed and full evening. Good night.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Yeah.
You know, I heard this several times. It is a difficult time. And since you are recording of this, You used a beautiful word, pluralism, but I noticed Kurt used a word, diversity.
Mhm.
And I read a Wall Street Journal article yesterday that there is a scientist, his name is Tim Markowitz, but that's not the important. The thing is that he got some funding from government to research on the, I'm actually looking at that Wall Street Journal report that the topic was, let me see, the topic was something like the diversity of some sort of bacteria, etc., was the area of research, and he got a grant. And then NIH came to him, said that they're not going to renew the word, renewing the grant if he does not remove the word diverse.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Now, so maybe we should delete the word diversity from our records in case we get into trouble. So
Good trouble. It's good trouble.
It's good.
Good
It's
trouble,
good
Leslie.
trouble.
Good trouble.
We'll emphasize the word
We
diversity
are
instead.
That's right.
Exactly.
Radical
Yeah.
troublemakers. So
I-
everyone on this screen is a radical troublemaker.
Absolutely.
So,
Proud
Susan-
of it.
Just
Proud of
Susan, you would stop the recording? Is that what happened? Since you started it, or do I stop it?
I guess I can do it.
Okay.
I'll
And
do
then,
it. Stop
um,
recording.
And then